Hello everyone, welcome to Word Funk. I am Leon Thomas. I am joined by Austin Yorsky and Johnny Maloney. Guys,
I have a question.
What are we gonna? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, not a question. All right, it's a question, but it leads from a story.
Oh, great! Those are the best.
It's
kind.
not a long story. All right.
Oh, well then it's not the best kind.
So as you guys know, I train in kung fu.
Do you?
You've never mentioned it.
Now,
it's never come up.
I'm usually there about 3 nights a week. That's what I try and manage. Okay. And last week, I'm driving there. I go in the evenings, so I'm usually there like at either 8 or 9 o'clock or something like that. And I'm driving down this road, okay? And it's not an industrial road, it's a commercial road, we'll say. But there are industrial kind of like areas. Like there's this company in British Columbia called BC Hydro that manages all of our power needs. So they have some places out there, but then across the street from them is like a Tim Hortons and like a Burger King and an EB Games, weirdly enough. But
I'm not sure if I'm more confused about the EB Games existing or Burger King.
Oh wait, sorry, yeah, EB Games got swallowed up by GameStop a while ago. They all
Yeah.
Wait a minute. In Canada, does the sign at Burger King say "Not home of the Whopper"?
No, it says home of the Whopper.
Well, that's bullshit. But good.
You can't have two homes, Burger King.
Yeah, let's. I refuse to believe that the Burger King has dual citizenship. That is not something that a king should have.
Have you ever played Crusader Kings 2, Leon?
I have not, because it sounds like one of those micromanaging PC games that I would hate.
Yeah, it is. But
nailed it.
It would educate you on these matters in terms of how succession works and territories and shit like that. So,
look, I understand.
Cool your jets, you anti-monarchist.
I understand that, historically speaking, the monarchs of various countries are actually have had a lot of to do with each other. But you know what? This isn't important. John, go ahead with
all
your
I'm saying is that
story.
Perhaps Burger King thinks it has a de jure claim on the territoryship of Canada, which would make it still the home of the Whopper, just not, presently as defined by current borders. Anyways, okay. So I'm driving along on this street, and I spot this sign on the side of the road. And not like a street sign or anything like that. It looks more like a real estate sign that you would see. Like somebody has taken this fiberboard or plastic.
Someone needs to update the Word Funk drinking game for police sirens.
The great thing about doing it this way is I can actually cancel all of that out, but I'm going to keep it in since you mentioned it.
Cool.
And
go ahead, John.
And they've planted this sign on the side of the road, on this little grassy part of what must be municipal land. Because the only thing that's on this side of the road, on what must be municipal land.
All
because
right.
The only thing on this side of the road is a tall hedgerow. No driveways anywhere except a little ways back that lead into one of these BC Hydro facilities. So I've always thought to myself, oh, okay, well, BC Hydro must be on the other side of this tall hedgerow because it's obviously better than, a barbed wire fence, what have you. But I'm driving by this sign, and then on it, somebody has scrawled in marker, black paint, something, very simply, "The kids are grounded."
Wait,
which kids?
It's supposed to be okay. What was on the sign originally?
Nothing. It was a blank white sign.
Oh,
maybe it's viral marketing or something for something we don't know yet.
I don't know, but it just said very simply, "The kids are grounded."
Leon's Googling it to see if there's
I am.
Maybe this is horror movie about kids being grounded or something.
But it was like, I mean,
no.
like it looked really homemade. Like it didn't look like the thing about viral marketing now is that it's so very obviously overproduced.
Yeah.
To where people are like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that dog kissed the other dog during this wedding proposal." Oh, you should get a real photographer for your wedding. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Dog wedding coming 2018.
Yeah, but it just says the kids are grounded on it. And I realize that this is no, like, dark noir Baltimore story or anything like that. But I really want to know who put this fucking sign up. Like, I want to know, was it, like, an angry parent or something? Who had to, like, notify another parent who might be on their way home or something like that? Be like, hey, the kids are grounded. In which case...
I bet it's that...
In which case, were there a bunch of, like, other parents who got home and were like, what did you do? And the kids are like, what? It's like, I saw the sign!
I bet it is that rapscallion Banksy back at it again, letting us know capitalism is grounded.
I believe it.
Stay woke, Canada.
Okay.
Like, it just seems like... It's not weird. It's not a weird story because it's super weird. It's a weird story because of why.
Johnny, here's what you do. You take the sign, and then you put in a new sign, and you ask the same question. You basically have to have, like, this is the only way you can communicate with the basically the OP. So you have to.
It's a fucking message board.
Right.
Okay.
Just or just turn it around and then write it on the other side.
I bet it's just someone put up a blank sign, right? They were gonna come back, finish it later, and some other jokester, some other japester came along and defaced it with the first.
It's still there though. I drove out that way last night, and it's still there.
Johnny, this is what you do. You turn it around, and on the blank side. You're right. Fuck you, Mom. And it just ruined some kid's day.
That reminds me, like, Tallahassee graffiti is great. There's a bunch of like what used to be car dealerships that have gone out of business, and people have graffitied their big signs that used to like say whatever they were. One, my favorite, just says "sup" in big letters, SUP question mark sup, and that's it. That's all it says.
That's nice. Yeah, graffiti art in Baltimore is like art. It's just it looks nice, most of the time. Not all the time, but enough that you notice that there is an aesthetic.
We have a couple of those. There's these tunnels that lead onto campus, the Florida State University campus, and inside of those tunnels on the walls, there's been a bunch of like pretty good art, but usually gets painted over after a while. A lot of like Nintendo, like there used to be a really nice Yoshi someone had painted on the inside of that tunnel. It's funny, when I first got up here, there was like one tunnel and it was like dark and scary. And since I've been up here, they've added a few more and they're all like super well lit now and they have like cameras in them and everything. I assume because people were either scared of being assaulted or were getting assaulted. Well, it's actually near a path that leads from the party Publix, which I have talked about on previous occasions, to the campus, which is known as the Rape Trail. That's genuinely what people call it. So
hopefully not affectionionly.
Yeah. I assume it's like more of an implication than a fact. I don't know. It's been here forever. I'm afraid to check if it's called that. But I mean, this is also the school that like Ted Bundy went wild on.
Many years ago, in the city of Liverpool, at the Liverpool Football Club, there was a famous center fielder whose last name was St. John. And at one point in time, there was a Christian organization that commissioned a big billboard in the city of Liverpool that simply said on it, "What would you do if God came to Liverpool?" And some rapscallion, in the middle of the night, presumably, had scaled up to the billboard and spray-painted underneath it, "Move St. John to inside right."
I mean, it's a baseball joke.
No, it's a football joke.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't understand Canada.
I don't get it at all. Like, like even out of.
I warned you guys that you guys weren't gonna. And no, it's not. It's not Canada. It's England. It's Liverpool, England.
I appreciate you trying anyway.
No,
sometimes
it's for the listeners. I
gotta
know.
roll the
There's a
dice.
couple of people I know who listen to the show who are fans of LFC. So you'll never walk alone, boys and girls.
Oh, football. I see. Football.
One of the many varieties of football, actually.
When you said inside right, I was thinking like right field, and that's why I thought baseball. But England. I guess they're aware of baseball, but they don't like play it, right?
Maybe some of them.
Back me up on this, somebody.
I know
Yusuf.
it's popular in other countries that are not America. For example, it's very popular in Japan, but I genuinely don't know how popular it is in England.
Probably not much. They don't have a lot of sticks to hit the balls.
They have cricket bats. They can just whittle
have
them
you
down.
been to England, Austin?
No, I'm just being an idiot.
They got
This is like
tons
my
of
first-
sticks. They got more sticks than you can shake a stick at. In fact, when they want to shake a stick at the sticks that they have, they can't choose which stick to shake on account of they have so many sticks.
I don't know when my persona on this show became like the idiot to your guys' straight men, or at least Leon's. But like I used to not be that, and I am now that. And
I'm sorry, I
apologize.
always figured I was the idiot.
I don't know what you are anymore. Half the things you say are non sequiturs entirely.
So, idiot savant?
You're keeping it mysterious, Johnny, and making us more intrigued by you.
Ooh, well then I better keep it up.
So, yeah, I think so.
Pasta.
Sorry, go ahead.
That was it. I just
Did we?
pasta.
No. Okay. All right.
Do you want to talk
Guys-
about the Ben Affleck Batman movie?
We could.
We don't have to.
No, Ben Affleck is going to write, direct, and star in a Batman movie. I mean, he's co-writing it with Chris Terrio.
How does that
the
make you
co-writer.
feel?
Pretty good, I guess. I mean, it's probably a step up.
Yeah, he's a good director. He was a decent Batman. He didn't have a lot to work with, but he was fine. Like, couldn't be worse.
One of the things about the statement of him being like, yeah, like I think this is going to be good that I really love is that he said at one point in time, I learned a lot from Zack Snyder. And I'm
that could mean
I'm really hoping that's on what not to do.
it's pretty sick burn.
This is the third week in a row we've talked about a movie that we don't like, and one of us hasn't seen it. So that's pretty solid.
I already know I don't like it. I already know.
No, it's fine. I accept that. Normally, I would call bullshit on that, but I feel like it's okay for you to say that about this movie.
Well, if you've seen the trailer, you've seen the movie.
It's not even a
You've seen
case of the
enough of
movie.
it.
I've seen Zack Snyder's movies. Like I'm not even.
It's not
I'm not even
yeah.
sure there's a movie he's directed that I haven't seen yet. I'm gonna look that
Yeah,
up
I
right
mean-
now. Word fuck.
haven't seen the
Google
app?
this.
You haven't
Yeah,
seen
Zach-
the Guardians of the Owls.
Oh, that's right. I didn't see the Guardians of Gahul.
Here's the thing: with the exception of the Guardians of Gru, Zack Snyder has a very cohesive oeuvre. So
If by cohesive oeuvre you mean one note over and over and over
Yeah,
and over.
Oh my god,
has-
we can't do this again. We
he
can't.
he has a cohesive aesthetic and thematic elements throughout virtually all of his movies. So yeah, I understand what you mean. You basically have seen it already. That's fine.
I think it would be really fantastic if he did like a fucking amazing Batman movie and it killed at the box office and it just dropped like Zack Snyder's movies like into the ocean and WB was
It's
like,
not-
Ben Affleck, will you save our franchise?
What did you want to talk about, Leon?
I was thinking recently. I have a lot of friends who not like super close friends, but I have friends and acquaintances and professional colleagues with whom I have a lot of major political and social and religious differences, but it rarely, if ever, affects our friendship or our professional relationship. Not because we're quiet about our feelings on things, because we're not, but usually because there's a difference between someone being like very far from you on the spectrum and being someone who is personally unpleasant.
Leon, I've tried to apologize for being a Canadian so many times. Look, just let it rest, please.
You're fine. No, but I was thinking about this. Like in a very and I realize this. I just I made these sort of like grandiose statements, but if I can make it sound more simple, if I can sit next to someone on a bus for a while, then I probably don't think you're human garbage. But if I can't, then there's a problem. And I was thinking about this because I was thinking about what used to be like 16 or 17 Republican candidates for president, and now there's like 3. And I was like, you know what? If Ben Carson sat down next to me on the bus and I had to make polite conversation with him for a half an hour, I bet we'd get along okay. Even though like there are many things on both a political and maybe even moral level where we would have strong disagreements, I feel like he would not be an obnoxious person. Like we would just like chit chat about nothing for a little while and then he would go on his way. Or like if Austin, you like had to sit down on the bus next to like Jeb Bush and you might even find you have something in common with him. He'd be like, oh man, I love my wife and I love my family, but what I really love is Gundam. And then you'd be like what?
I can see Jeb Bush being really into Gundam.
Yeah, and that's the odd thing about it, you
Ben Carson strikes me more as a Pokemon kind of guy myself, but
That's fair. That's Herman Cain actually. And that has been proven. But anyway, but it doesn't always sound like it because I can be a little grumbly about some things. But I consider myself to be kind of an optimist, especially when it comes to people. So I like to think of Ben Carson as half full and not half empty. But the point I'm trying to make is that doesn't extend to everyone.
Like good people can have bad beliefs.
No, I agree. But like I said, just in this slew of candidates, that does not extend to everyone, and it doesn't extend to Donald Trump and Ted Cruz, because I do find them personally unpleasant. Like, and I know this because if they sat down next to me on the bus, I'd just find a new seat or stand up.
I think the word you're looking for is repugnant.
Yeah, I would find them repugnant, just as people.
So
I would not want to make polite conversation with them.
Okay, so believe me,
I wouldn't give him a hard time. It's not like if Ted Cruz sat down next to me and he was like, "Oh, hot out there, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah," and then I'd stand up. I wouldn't like punch him or give him a hard time. I don't know the man.
What if you had a surplus of banana cream pies on hand and you were like, "Man, what am I gonna do with this extra banana cream pie?"
I feel like Ted Cruz would be very litigious.
I wouldn't sit in any motor vehicles while Ted Cruz is around. Is all I'm saying.
Okay. Well, here's the funny thing. We've talked on this podcast quite a bit about Donald Trump, and it's hard not to when discussing American politics right now. Here's the thing. Ted Cruz is slightly more politically savvy than Donald Trump because he's actually an elected official. So he knows sometimes what not to say.
No, Ted Cruz is good at playing the game relative to Trump, who does not play the game.
No,
like, he's not even trying.
No, I understand that. But what I'm trying to say is Ted Cruz knows not to say, let's ban all Muslims from our country, but still use language and try to create policy that will still be fairly anti-Muslim. For example, he has written up legislation, which has not passed, of course, that would ban travel from many, many countries where that are predominantly Muslim. He's basically trying to do the same thing, but in a different way. He just knows how not to say it. And I feel like he's gotten a free ride a little bit, at least from us. And I just want to talk a little bit of shit about Ted Cruz right now. Because, like I said, I find him genuinely personally unpleasant.
I have a lot to say about this, but the one thing I do want to bring up, because somebody in the YouTube comments of a Word Funk episode asked why we haven't talked about Tay, the Microsoft Twitter AI robot thing. And like, it's not, I just wanted to say that the best part of that whole thing was when someone asked it if Ted Cruz was the serial killer, and it said no, because Ted Cruz would never be satisfied with only destroying 5 lives.
I did not know that happened. That may have been the only good thing to come of that. Okay, here's something. When I say I've done research on this, I mean it was very easy to find horrible things Ted Cruz has said and done with only a very short time on Google. Most of which I knew already. Here's some funny things he said. Not funny, terrible. Here's some actual quotes. We need 100 more like Jesse Helms in the U.S. Senate. For those who don't know, Helms pretty much opposed civil rights and tried to block the Senate from approving a federal holiday for Martin Luther King. He was like the most unabashedly racist senator, to the point that even most Republicans will not use his name positively in the 21st century. Cruz said, "The Obama economy is a disaster, Obamacare is a train wreck, and the Obama-Clinton foreign policy of leading from behind, the whole world is on fire." Here's the funny thing about saying that. That itself is incendiary. But he said this in front of a 3-year-old girl, and she said, "The world is on fire?" And Ted Cruz looked at her and said, "Yes, the world is on fire. Your world is on fire." Actual quote, not a joke.
That's the whole thing about Republican rhetoric right now. Like, Trump has the whole "Make America Great Again" thing. Like, oh no, everything's falling apart. But like, the standard of living has never been higher. Teen pregnancy's never been lower. Drug addiction's never been lower. Literacy's never been higher. Like, literally every metric by which you can judge the world is actually is getting better in pretty much every measurable way.
Yeah. That's absolutely true, but that doesn't fit their narrative, so they can't say that.
Well, because it's like you said before, like Ted Cruz says like heinous shit and like couches it in like more polite language, but that it's all about like these dog whistles where you say "Make America Great Again." And what you mean is "Make America White Again." And when you say, you know, "The world is on fire," you mean like Muslims are existing out there. Like,
yeah.
It's
speaking of out there and other countries, let's say, Cruz's foreign policy objectives are literally war crimes, and not hyperbolically like, "Oh, it's a war crime." I mean, he wanted to do saturation bombing on Iraq and Syria, and lift the rules of engagement. Here's the thing. That's actually a violation of the Geneva Conventions. That's like literally a war crime. The Geneva Conventions actually say area bombardments and other indiscriminate acts are forbidden. An indiscriminate attack affecting the civilian population or civilian objects and resulting in excessive loss of life, injury to civilians, or damage to civilian objects is a grave breach of the Geneva Conventions. Unquote. He's basically saying, I want to be a war criminal.
Jeez, Leon, what do you have against war criminals now, you goddamn SJW?
Yeah. He's a climate change denier and is intensely anti-gay rights, which is not unusual for a Republican politician, but it's just another example of his garbage opinions.
Did you hear about the thing about him today?
I've heard a thing about him today. Is it the same thing that
It probably is. If you're laughing, then I'm gonna go ahead and assume it is. Oh, I was just going to say that he came out against, I think he phrased it genital stimulation.
Here's the thing about that thing that people were talking about today. That's actually from a while ago. It's just sort of been drudged up recently. He said that a while back. Mm-hmm. So this is not like a new opinion. It's just a new thing that we're learning about him. He was like a nobody back then.
But apparently his college roommate piped up on Twitter.
Yeah.
And said that it was a new belief for him.
Yeah.
Relatively.
Not only that, but my favorite part is everybody please stop speculating that he kept a dildo under his pillow. Ted Cruz slept on top of the pillow.
Okay, here's just some odd even in context, weird quotes from him. The moon might be as intimidating as Obamacare.
It is.
Trump, Cruz also said, Trump may be a rat, but I have no desire to copulate with him.
Yeah, I saw that.
He also said, I was bitten by an octopus. Also a thing he said.
So does that mean? Wait.
Go ahead.
So is Ted Cruz implying that he's just a selective rat fucker?
It was
I don't know.
the metaphor got away from him.
No,
Apparently so.
And the last one I have is 20 years from now, if there is some obscure Trivial Pursuit question, I am confident I will be the answer. Just completely self-aware, not aware enough, I guess. Anyway, those are some things I wanted to say about Ted Cruz. He's quite possibly a monster in human skin. I mentioned a while back on Twitter that the fact that we think Ted Cruz may secretly be Jean-Paul Ralphio from Parks and Rec, or
Zodiac Killer, please.
That rocker, or a bunch of other people. Why we've come up with like 6 or 7 different reasons other people Ted Cruz could be is because we cannot even believe this guy exists. We cannot accept the fact that this is a real person and not the alter ego of someone horrible.
And a person who managed to like get his way into a position of some power too.
Yeah. He. I mean,
like I can
Senator
believe
is
that
pretty
person
high up there.
exists. I can believe all kinds of people exist. I have no
Okay.
problems with believing that people are who they are.
Maybe we don't want to, is what I'm trying to say.
That guy. That guy.
He's the fucking worst.
Yeah, so the thing about Ted Cruz is, right, he has the same garbage beliefs as a lot of people in his party, and that shouldn't make him stand out. The crazy shit is that his whole entire shtick, like what he has hung his reputation on and what presumably has gotten him to the level of power is, he is like intransigently theocratic. Like he believes in like some crazy ass religious shit, and like you guys know how much like religion interests me, but I would never like put it into practice in the year of our Lord 2016. He genuinely, or maybe not genuinely, I don't know, maybe it's just a political tool, but he thinks we should be like a religious state.
Yeah. You mean we have to give up eating animals of the cloven hoof?
Yeah, let's just go there, because he has so he's really staunchly anti-gay, and like anti-gay people will tell you like, oh, the Bible says men should not lie with man. It's there. It's in Leviticus. You can't do anything about it. But like I'm sure like you've heard the counter arguments that like, yeah, Leviticus is filled with crazy ass shit and we don't listen to any of it. Like,
things like it says it's okay to sleep with your daughter.
It says crazy shit like, oh, you can't wear, clothes of 2 different like fabrics, and you have to. I told you guys about like CSI bovine, right? Like where if you find someone who's been murdered and you didn't know who did it, you have to take a cow into a valley and break its neck, and that settles it. Like there's a bunch of crazy shit in the Bible that we don't abide by. Also, his whole thing is like he's this like Christian figure, and like Leviticus is Old Testament as fuck. It's the oldest of testaments in terms of the context of the book. It's right there in the name, Leviticus. It's for Levites. It's like a specific like priestly class of people who like lived thousands of years ago. It's not even I'm
sorry, Austin. I don't know anything about the Levites.
It's okay. You don't need to. The point is that it's
did they lev and let live?
Stop. It's cherry-picked garbage is what I'm saying. Like,
I know.
The only reason that, like, gay rights is such a hot-button issue is because it rallies, like, bigoted Southern voters. Like, idiots are grossed out by gay people, so you can whip them into a voting frenzy by opposing it. It like no one's on this anti-shellfish platform, although it like not eating things from the water that aren't fish has just as much prominence in Leviticus as anti-gay shit.
I love my Korean barbecued eel. You will not take that away from me, sir.
Okay.
But the Bible is just as strong on shellfish as it is on gay rights. And yet one is a huge political issue and one is not. And that's
also working on the Sabbath.
Well, there's like we can sit here and go over the crazy ass rules in the Bible forever. Like that, it's not a single man, woman, or child in America is living by biblical rules because none of us are going to the temple in Jerusalem, it says you have to go in person. So we're all breaking the rules. Like there's if you fall, if you're the books were written for and by people in a specific area and time. You can't like run a country.
Yeah, but Austin, if it's the accepted word of God, it's either all right or all of it's under question.
But it contradicts itself on, like, look, I find this shit super fascinating, but the reason it's not a workable political philosophy is because it contradicts itself constantly. And that's the thing that grosses me out most about Ted Cruz, is that it's like everyone in your party is dumb, but you're dumb and you're trying to
you're dumb and you believe?
He's trying to take advantage. I don't even know if he's actually religious. Like, you see his roommate shitting on his phony, like, hypocrisy all the time. I don't know if he believes it, but he's leveraging, like, people's, like, belief in something that I feel like should be harmless. Like, they all just want to have, like, this hope and faith, and this is whatever they were raised in. It's fine. Like, there's no reason it should be a toxic ideology, but he's weaponized Christianity, is my thesis. Basically.
He's not the first person to do it. He's just the latest iteration.
Oh, of course. Like
he's like the what is it? He's like the atom bomb to the hydrogen bomb.
I mean, yeah.
Look, I'll put it this way, and I've said this before. There's a lot of jokes on the internet about how ugly Ted Cruz is. I think that's out of line. We should just talk about how ugly his soul is. So that's how I feel.
Well, Leon, it's about what's inside. It's what's inside that counts.
It's inside that's so horrible. You're right.
It's inside. It's just hate and darkness and apparently compulsive masturbation.
One of those things is okay. All right, so just throwing that out there. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say about Ted Cruz. I have other things I could talk about, and I will, but that's what I wanted to say in terms of like semi-serious stuff this week.
I feel like I would be worried about alienating people with political talk, but it's like no one who listens to this show, I feel like, is that far afield of us politically. Or if you are, congratulations on being super open-minded. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I guess.
It's very cool of you.
I feel like regardless of personal, like I said, like ideological beliefs, I think most people do find Ted Cruz personally unpleasant. So I don't feel like we're in too dangerous ground here, even among conservatives. Because apparently, here's the thing, his party hates him. Like
Dateline, April, Ted Cruz, not the best.
Yeah, and not just, because they have wildly different politics from him, because in a lot of ways they don't. They find him personally unpleasant. They don't like him as a guy. That's the thing. That's why when the convention happens, the Republican convention, they might bypass both Trump and Cruz if neither of them hit that magic number delegate that we were talking about previously.
And just beg Paul Ryan. Just hands and knees. Just beg.
But yeah, compared to Cruz, I can definitely see why people would prefer Trump, because Trump has this like veneer of like straight talk honesty. Like I just hate people who are different and I want to have lots of money. And it's like, I could see how that could be attractive, but Cruz is just like this slime monster of like gross hypocrisy.
No, I'm sorry. It's just you're absolutely right. It's not funny, but he is a slime monster.
I don't even, as a foreigner, I don't even know that much about him, to tell you the truth, because just about every piece of press that the American media has, they dedicate to Donald Trump when they're talking about the right.
Right. That's why I wanted to bring this up.
Ted Cruz is just kind of like an afterbirth. I mean, an afterthought, pardon me.
Well, yeah, the right was setting it up to be between like Cruz and Rubio, and then Trump came in and just knocked all the pieces off the board, flipped the table, pissed on the table. He just fucked that table up like hardcore.
Yeah, and I mean, like any good wrestling commentators, the 24-hour news stations focused on the table and were like, "Oh my God! Oh! oh my god, oh, do you see this? Oh, and then it would like briefly flash back to the ring for a second where you'd see like the other guys who were standing there like, dude just broke a table. Whoa.
I feel like I'm going to get at least one comment who's like, hey, speaking of, like, weaponizing Christianity is nothing new. Have you ever heard of the Crusades? And like, yes, I know. I'm sorry. There's not enough time to go over everything in history. It's just what makes me grossed out by Cruz in particular.
Yeah.
So I have stories. We have things. I know you want to talk about movies. There was a thing Johnny's been trying to talk about for the last like 3 weeks.
Austin, I would love to hear your story, and then after your story, we can do the thing we've been meaning to talk about for a while.
Cool. So it's not really my story. It's my brother's story, but I'm conveying it to you guys.
Okay, good enough.
Okay, so the other weekend, apparently he went to a Super Smash Brothers tournament, and he did okay. He got, like, relatively far and then lost. He plays Ike, who's not, like, a particularly popular character, so, like, people had some trouble dealing with it, but he did get beaten by, I think, I want to say a fox. Anyway, at this tournament, which is, like, in this university town, so there's a lot of nerds around. There's a pretty good scene. Like, I went to a Marvel vs. Capcom 3 tournament. I won one round and then got just fucking shreked. So there's some good ass players up here. The thing was about this tournament is he has reported to me that roughly a third of the attendants, almost universally male, if not all male, a third of the attendants were wearing fedoras. And like, unironically, and he was totally baffled that, like, okay, they have to know the association with fedoras and, like, nerdy men, right? Like, it's a thing that signals to the world that either you don't care or, like, you care but you're too attached to it. Like, there has to, like, what psychology is at play that someone would still wear a fedora like that?
I'm just gonna go ahead and defend myself here. I have a Martin fedora, all right? The only time I wear it is when I'm going out in public in a double-breasted coat, and it is either raining or snowing, and also, like a fucking gentleman, I take it off when I come inside.
Well, I said that too. I was like, well, were they all dressed up and, like, the fedora completed the look? And he's like, no, they were in, like, jeans and Pikachu t-shirts. Like, there was no flow to the outfit at all. It was just a fedora on top of a nerd-ass, like, outfit.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was in high school, like, I had a friend who, like, wore a fedora and was, like, a stereotypical fedora guy. And, like, it's no secret that that's a thing, but it's not gone away. I didn't realize it was, like, still out there in the wild, but apparently it's, like, rampant still.
I'm also going to jump in here and say that mine is a Martin fedora, which means that it's actually a long brim.
I asked him if maybe they were trilbies, and he just gave me a dirty look. I don't know if it was one or the other. The other part of this fedora story is it reminded him of a time he was in class, and he was telling me that there was a kid who was just, like, fresh as hell, like, every day, came just, like, dressed to the nines, and part of his, like, outfit for this one, like, you know, this time or whatever was he had, like, a floral fedora. I don't even know what that would look like. He was telling me that it was, like, all these gaudy colors and stuff, but it kind of worked. And he was sitting in class, and another kid came in wearing the same fedora, and the kid who came in late was, like, nerdy, and the fresh guy just knocked his own hat off, just, like, in class, like, reached up and just knocked it off his head, and then just, like, didn't retrieve it because now it was ruined. He was just like, you fucking sullied my look, you pleb.
Good man. Good man.
Oh, my.
So that's the Tallahassee fedora update.
Thank you for that.
I hope that in 20 years, dudes in, like, sleeveless shirts are just going to be wearing neckties around their bare necks, being like, no, it's classy, it shows I'm a real gentleman.
It always makes me sad that we never adopted the future fashion of, like, 70s sci-fi. Like, we're not all in, like, weird Velcro shiny one-piece suits or, like, jumpers or something. Like, we all just kind of dress like regular people. It's a missed opportunity. IMHO.
Like I always said this, you know, I think a lot of our handheld tech has really surpassed what Star Trek thought we would have, but our jumpsuit tech is, like, way behind.
Yeah. We went in the direction of convenience instead of like aesthetic, which is, I mean, in hindsight, totally understandable. But, so do you want to talk about the thing you've been trying to talk about? Every time we ended this Word Funk call, Johnny goes, "Oh fuck, I forgot to talk about it," and it's been like 2 weeks now.
Yeah, we could talk about it.
It's not that big a deal, but
No, I mean, but you're a big fan of the soundtrack, absolutely.
mm-hmm.
And I'm, I guess, a lapsed thespian. We were going to talk about Hamilton, the musical. Now, what I wanted to talk about was the casting call thing.
Yep. Which is old news by now, but I mean, whatever.
I suppose we could leave it.
Call the news police to try to stop us.
Yeah, I mean, why the hell? So, I mean, Austin, you're more familiar with Hamilton than I am. But as I understand it, it's the story of Alexander Hamilton, but it largely focuses around non-white actors.
Yeah, the only white actor in Hamilton is King George. Everyone else is played by people of color, which is super boss. I mean, it's already the best musical ever made, but that is just like, wow, just gotta go next level shit to make it fucking dope.
Yeah. So apparently, there was a casting notice for a national tour a little while ago, a couple of weeks ago, I guess now, nearly 2 weeks ago, that kind of came to list that asked for non-white men and women to come and audition for this casting call for this musical. And apparently Actors Equity, which is the union that represents stage actors in the United States, says that all actors must be considered without discrimination on the basis of sex, race, color, creed, national origin, age, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, and or expression or political persuasion or belief. Which sounds really great on paper, that you're like, hey, we want to make sure that all of our actors are going to be considered equally. That's fair. That's something you maybe want.
Yeah, we're getting into what's known as, I guess, reverse racism now, which is a contentious topic. But like the thing you hear about like diversity, right, in entertainment is people are always like, oh, like why should we put black actors in white roles or whatever? Why can't we just respect the author's intent or the historical reality or whatever? Why don't black people just go make their own thing? And then black people go and make their own thing, and then white people want to get all up in it. Like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
They're like, oh, this is so good, I want to be a part of it.
So yeah, like Lin-Manuel Miranda, the guy who wrote it and stars in it, is like Hispanic origins, right? As you can tell by his name, and the fact that his Twitter is mostly in Spanish. Yep. So like he went and he did this really cool thing, because like the story of Alexander Hamilton is like the quintessential hip hop narrative. Like he's a immigrant and he was poor and he hustled his way to the top and then died in a gunfight. Like it's gangster, and it totally fits with the entire the music is like rap mostly. So it's totally like aesthetically cohesive. And King George being the only white person makes him the other in the America versus England thing, and it works so perfectly. And so now you want diversity. I don't know, the whole thing it's like we only want to enforce equality when it benefits the people already in power. Like, oh, let's enforce the status quo. No matter what, it's the old really tired and really disrespectful line of, well, there's a BET, why can't there be a white entertainment channel? And the answer to that is always there kind of already is. Yeah. There's a bunch of them. The other channels.
Yeah,
mostly the other channels. It's
especially the Home and Garden Network.
Well, okay.
like we've never really sat down and talked about cultural appropriation before, but I think it's a similar point. Like Johnny, we touched on it once before, and you joked like, "Oh, all cultures should be separate. Like white people should do white people stuff, and black people should do black people stuff." And you're like being sarcastic.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about a cultural appropriation: when like a football team like the Redskins takes like a Native American imagery and like co-ops it, there's an element of power there, a power imbalance. It's the
Hegemony?
I have trouble with that word. It's the people in power.
It's not just that particular example. I just want to interject here. It's not just taking something. It's also using a term that is not positive.
Yeah,
it's not just saying like, for example, if it were specifically about the Cherokees, it wouldn't be like saying like we are the Washington Cherokees and they have a very respectful mascot. It's like no, it's like very specifically. That's not a cool thing to say in a general sense.
I was putting aside the fact that it's a slur.
No, I understand that.
There were a lot of
say that real quick.
There were a lot of elements to it. Is that like it's a slur. 2, there's very specifically a power differential. 3, it's also about the flow of money. You know, because you can do things like open up like a twerking studio, or like a yoga studio, or like the blues. I'm going to teach you how to play the blues and things like that, and deciding to own these things and where that money goes, and it's like it's difficult to do. Like it's difficult to track down with a lot of things these days, because you can't really say, well, I mean, who do we give money to for the blues? Because it's kind of like, well.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a bit late for that.
It's about power, and yet there's a money element, but that's only because like money is power. So the reason it's not like cultural appropriation quotation marks when, for example, like a person of color enacts white culture is because they don't have the power or the historical legacy or the money from which to unfairly benefit from that like transfer of culture. That's the difference. Yeah. So I feel like there's this like misunderstanding whenever one culture tries something else, like, or appropriates an element or whatever. People are like, well, that's problematic, like, because that word just lost all meaning now on the internet. But that there's specifically a mechanism that I feel like gets lost in these kind of discussions. And yes, like obviously that you read off that like, oh, we don't discriminate against race and class and creed and stuff. Like, yes, that's good, obviously, but when people of color create spaces or performances or art that plays with dominant cultures, I feel like that's not appropriation in the same way, and we have to like understand that.
No, there has to be room for that. There absolutely has to be room for that.
Yeah. So
and to claim equality as being the thing that stops it, is even like demonstrably mathematically wrong.
my feeling is basically just chill out, white people. You got a lot.
Well, yeah. So when you're the dominant group, right? Like anytime someone else gets a leg up, you feel like you're under attack. That's like every time there's a Star Wars trailer with a woman in it, nerds freak out. It's like, dog, you have the fucking majority of every science fiction movie ever made. Calm down.
Yeah, but Austin, very specifically about the movies here, a very quick interjection. Okay. I've just realized that Rogue One, they're not going to watch it. Force Awakens, they're not going to watch it. Mad Max Fury Road, didn't watch it. Like, these guys haven't seen a good movie, like a good action movie, in fucking years.
Yeah, you know they all did, though.
Yeah. If I can interject into your interjection, they all totally did.
And then they totally pretended that they didn't like it.
Yeah.
But I mean, even from people who are ostensibly, like leftist or SJW types, I feel like even that gets lost on both sides. We're so quick to like call out people for being problematic or whatever, but you have to take into account like sociologically what's going on here is really about power. Like in a very real way, where they're talking about race or gender or economics or anything else. That's the thing to keep in mind. So Hamilton, it's
and witch hunting doesn't help.
Well, depends what kind of magic. Like, if they're casting some black magic, you may want to hunt those bitches down.
Oh my god.
Can't let that stand.
You got a problem with black magic now, Austin?
Oh shit, it just got racial.
It's a very problematic term.
Yeah, so problematic. Hamilton's so good, guys. You should listen to the soundtrack.
Oh, are we going to talk about the show itself? Oh, yeah, I listened to some of the songs. It's fine.
It's really good. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased. I don't know why I identify so strongly with the story about a poor bastard who's so good at writing that he gets a career in law. Maybe I know. I don't know what the connection is, but I'm super into it.
Oh my. Well, that makes me a little worried about why I like Macbeth so much.
Listen, Leon, we all know you're power mad.
Yeah. That's actually why I'm not going to be available tomorrow night to record Dice Funk. I'm actually going to see a production of Macbeth.
But there still will be a Dice Funk this week.
Yeah. We're going to record Saturday night. It's fine. I didn't realize there was a Shakespeare company that did that in my area, and then I realized there was, and I was like, oh, that's something I'd actually like to go to instead of being constantly asked to go see Wicked. So that's a thing I'm gonna do. Okay. Any other topics you want to talk about? Johnny, I feel like you haven't introduced anything. Is there anything specific you want to talk about this week?
No.
That's fine. That's totally fine. I have more stuff. Guys, in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, I was thinking earlier, early in the film, two of the turtles are in the sewer, and one of them is talking about something important, and the other one is just waiting for pizza to come. And then he says that the time has expired, and due to this, it will cost less. And then the pizza guy comes. He is understandably confused, considering that he's delivering to a drain. The turtle does not accept this as an excuse and gives him the reduced price. Here's the thing. I think the guy says the tab was $15, but it's $3 off, so it's really $12. So I think it's Michelangelo, and if I'm wrong, someone will scream at me in the comments. Michelangelo gives him $12. Here's the thing. Not only was Michelangelo being a real stickler about the rules, and also, didn't really take into account that, he couldn't possibly have found it because he lives in the fucking sewer, but also totally stiffed the guy. It's bullshit. He went all this way and had to find a drain to deliver to a mutant in a sewer, and you stiffed him. I'm sorry. At that point, I have to stop sympathizing with the turtles for the rest of the movie. I was rooting for Shredder. Anyway, that's something I wanted to say right now. I felt like it was long overdue. No one ever talks about that aspect of the film. Also, where did he get money? He doesn't have a job. I mean, I can understand having so little money that you're a little cheap on the tip. So maybe that makes sense. But you don't. What do you even do to get that money at all? Are you just digging around and scrounging in the sewer for people who throw ones in the drain?
Haven't you ever seen the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle musicals?
I have not.
They were all accomplished Broadway dancers and singers.
As previously indicated, I don't like going to the theater for musicals. But yeah, I know. I feel like that's unexplained.
I think they're returning turtle tricks.
Look, everyone's got a fetish. Let's not kink shame.
I'm not. That's what I'm saying. Somebody has got to be into it.
Okay, that's cool. All right, that's something I just wanted to talk about for no reason. No good reason, anyway.
I mean, I think the real answer, Leon, is probably that it's a bullshit thing, or that got made up, or April loaned it to them. You don't know.
No, this was before they met April O'Neil.
Oh, I don't know.
This is very early in the film.
Did the turtles ever learn to make pizza? Because it must compromise their whole ordeal to constantly have people coming to them, in their.
The sewer is not really a food safe environment, Austin, for raw food to exist.
It's not hospitable to bring food in there at all. In fact, but that's just something they have to live with.
But I mean, Leon, let's be clear here.
Yeah.
Raw food is going to be much more available to the germs and infections that being in a sewer environment would
Yeah, I'm starting to get
latch onto.
I'm starting to get the impression that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles may not be scientifically accurate.
I don't know where you would get that.
That's fair.
I mean, right from the title, it's pretty sound.
They are teenage, and they are mutants, and they are ninjas, and they are turtles. I mean, they're not.
What's the problem here?
They're not any of those things.
So, do you guys want to do questions?
Yeah, I guess a few of them.
All right.
Okay. Jade asks, did Anne really move the corpses to the cells? It sounded like everybody was referring to the armed living creatures. So on Dice Funk last week,
I found that a little vague myself, but I just want to reiterate that I was not involved in this at all, and I did not back you. So any wrath that you may accrue from this, I am not. I'm basically throwing you under the bus.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
On Dice Funk last week, we made a plan, and it took like 10 minutes to sort it out, and I got frustrated and said, everybody shut up. Let's move everybody into the cells and then ambush somebody. And the everybody, I meant everybody, like everybody, but that was not clear. Johnny was confused, and I totally understand if you think that was some bullshit. Johnny, have you listened to the edits I made?
No, I have not.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Never.
But
no.
but I did catch the windfall on Twitter and some comments.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see these comments. What were the comments on Twitter?
I can't pull them up right now.
No, it's
I don't
okay.
remember.
All right, never mind.
But it was explicitly referred to.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I definitely understand if you think that wasn't specific enough, but I did. I pulled out the quote where I said it, and then I put it in at the part where it was called into question. So it's in there, but yeah, it was ambiguous. It could have went either way. But I feel like it was so obvious that we would not...
Oh, just keep defending yourself.
Okay. That was a good episode. If you don't listen to Dice Funk, you should. It's a good show.
I feel like as punishment, Marshmallow should die.
What is your fucking deal, bro?
Oh god, just like not even just like killed off screen, but like in front of Van.
You are a monster.
I know. no, I'm fine. It's fine with that. I mean, I'm fine. By the way, we haven't seen Marshmallow in a few episodes. We should probably find Marshmallow. But anyone who doesn't listen to Dice Funk has no idea what we're talking about. This is all just gobbledygook. So why don't we move on to the next question?
Okay. Gavin Smith asks, how are you liking the new anime seasons, such as JoJo's? Guys, the new season of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable, is really good. It is essentially a like panel for panel adaptation of the manga. So, I mean, it looks really good. It's very pretty. It has a great art style and soundtrack and stuff, but not a lot of animation. I like it a lot. That's the only thing I'm watching from this season. Like, I just finished Iron Blooded Orphans, which was fine. It has the same problems that all Gundams have. Like, they've been making the same show for 35 years over there.
You know, I figured there was a new JoJo's up because both Christine Love and Merritt Kopis were talking about it.
I mean, anyone with good taste is talking about JoJo. It's fantastic.
Where can I watch it?
Crunchyroll. It should be free.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
All the seasons are up. The new episodes like take a week if you have a free account for them to be available, but I mean you have to catch up. So
I'll check it out.
Yeah. The first couple it starts weird. The first part of JoJo is like Fist of the North Star meets Castlevania.
Relax, Austin. I've seen weird before.
It's not
and you've talked to me about JoJo's before.
It's not even that it's weird. Hear me out. The first part of JoJo is Fist of the North Star meets Castlevania. The second part is just this really homoerotic like martial arts tournament. And then 3 through 8 are Persona, basically. Persona ripped off JoJo. That's the direction that's flown in. But like Leon, you've played Persona, right?
We've mentioned on the show I have both played and disliked Persona. Yes.
Yeah. That's fine, but like, okay, so the concept of Persona is that like all these characters have superpowers which manifest as like human-shaped like figures that stand next to them, and they have like aspects of their personality that inform their abilities. Like JoJo has that. They're called stands, and they're all like named after rock bands, and it's super goofy. But like that doesn't start until part 3 of JoJo, even though it's like the definitive aspect of it. So if you're watching the first 2 seasons of JoJo, you're like, this is weird and not the thing I thought it was. But then eventually it does get there. But the anime is at part 4 right now, so they're knee deep in the stands, which are the. I mean, yeah.
Also, every time you say persona, I think fursona, and it just ruins it.
Good.
So I just want you to know that.
But it's not just the personas and stands connection. Like there's also a lot of other ones. Like part 3 of JoJo starts with Jotaro shooting himself in the head to prove that a stand can catch the bullet. And Persona 3 starts with Yukari shooting herself in the head to summon her persona. And like part 4 is about like a serial killer in a small town, and Persona 4 is about a serial killer in a small town. Like it's a 1-to-1 in a number of ways. So definitely 2 of my favorite like Japanese things going on right now. But I'm not watching much else in the anime spectrum. I've heard some shows look interesting, but just running out of time, guys. So much stuff going on. I'm like learning to program, and I'm writing. I'm getting ready for law school. I'm doing 3 podcasts. We're starting the video game podcast this weekend, hopefully. Just shit's on fire over in Casa de Yorski.
We still don't have a name for it.
No, shit. You know, I was going to ask on Twitter, but if you have any ideas for a name for a video game podcast, you can leave them in the comments on Channel Awesome or YouTube as well, and I'll read those. But also on Twitter. Send me them there at Austin Yorski. I need help. Help me. I assume neither of you guys are watching anime.
No, sorry. Not even a little. No, I don't dislike anime. When I watch it, I do enjoy it. It's like it's a task to watch it. I don't have time to just add things into my life. It sounds like it's not like I can just watch one anime show and feel satisfied. When I get into something, I put a lot of myself into it, like too much, in fact, and then I regret it. So,
yeah, I know. Like I said, like I have a million things going on, so it's hard to keep up. Like I also have movies I want to watch, and shows I want to watch, and video games I want to play, and like adult responsibilities.
I remember being that young.
And then at a certain point, you just gave in and said, "Fuck it."
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a case. It wasn't a case of giving in. Pardon me. It was. For me, it was realizing that I only had a finite amount of hours in a day, and I had to prioritize the things that I loved.
That's what I mean. Except my way of saying it is fuck it. Yeah. But yeah, basically, I just don't have time for anything besides movies and very rarely video games. But that's about it.
Oh man, I have so many video games to talk to. You should listen to our new show when it comes out, because that's the only place you're going to hear video game talk from me.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be here.
All
right.
Yeah.
How about another question?
All right, here's a great. I like this name. I'm reading this just based on the name. Party Horse Mania asks favorite breakfast cereal.
Fruity Pebbles. Not good for me. Banned in Canada, I think.
What?
I think I'm almost positive it is.
Are they performance-enhancing drugs? What's up?
No. I can't remember who told me it. I don't think it was Johnny who told me. I think another Canadian friend of mine told me it. But yeah, apparently Fruity Pebbles is not considered food there because it has 0 nutritional value. I could be totally wrong about this, and this guy could have been just yanking my chain, but that is what I've heard about it. The point I'm trying to make is it's not good for me at all. It's just candy. It is candy in milk. It's like when people try to pretend that Coca-Cola is like a thirst quencher or something. It's like getting fluids in your body. It's candy. You're drinking candy, and that's fine so long as you accept that it is, and don't fool yourself. But yeah, me, just a bowl of Fruity Pebbles. It's a good time. Not for my body, but like for my brain. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, Special K with milk is preferable, but I usually just eat cereal dry. which means like whatever I have on hand. So
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not super into cereal.
Okay. Now, I took like a long break, like years break from cereal because I was like, this is bad for me. Why am I even doing this? I mean, there are healthier cereals for me, but I would rather not eat them. But recently I'm like, it'd be great if I just eat cereal because I liked it, and then I do. And I'm still in relatively good shape, even though I eat cereal now. So that's good. My body can withstand it. Johnny, your cereal thoughts?
I don't really eat breakfast.
Okay.
You
I wake up feeling sick.
That's because you're photosynthetic. You had the Canadians
No.
have to be let out in the morning so you can soak up some
No.
vitamin D.
No, it's because I don't enjoy waking up, and it actually makes me feel kind of nauseous.
I'm sorry.
That's a downer.
And that's a joke, but the truth is that, yeah, actually, I usually wake up feeling kind of sick.
Oh.
Like, my stomach is usually tight when I wake up. I'm not super into eating. It usually takes me, between 1 and 3 hours for my stomach to kind of be like, yeah, okay, I think we could get some solid foods into us. So, really, all I have for breakfast in the morning when I wake up is a large glass of skim milk, because I don't need the fat, and it's a good source of protein. And then, maybe I'll have an espresso or a cup of tea. But the question said favorite breakfast cereal, so I'm gonna have to answer that.
We're duty bound to answer it.
I guess I have a soft spot for mini wheats, frosted mini wheats.
Okay.
I mean, most cereal
'Cause
are pretty similar,
They've
right?
got they've got a very satisfying texture, but then also at the same time, there's a little bit of sugar on there.
Johnny, when I said that I eat a bunch of cereal, I don't mean for breakfast. I don't eat breakfast either. I start eating food at noon. I just mean I like to eat cereal. Right after this podcast.
Yeah, I don't eat cereal.
Okay, no, that's fine. Right after this podcast, I'm gonna eat 2 breakfast things, because I'm gonna be up for a few more hours, and I want my late dinner, which will be chocolate chip waffles, and probably a bowl. No, I will not have Fruity Pebbles. I will have Reese's cereal, which is also very bad for me.
Okay.
Reese's for breakfast?
You see, I bake my own bread, and I do things like buy cured sausages and fruit compotes and
Yeah, we get it. We get it. You're cool. You're cool, Johnny.
fig jams and things like that. No, I mean that's just what I do. So when noon comes around and I'm like, man, I could really use a little bit of, I don't know, lamb, spinach, and feta sausage. That's I'm sorry. That's where I go. That's where my stomach goes.
Okay.
Does Canada have Weetabix? I just like saying Weetabix.
Yeah! Yeah, it does have Weetabix.
That's a fun thing to say. As someone Googling Weetabix, I hear clicking.
Yeah, but he's probably spelling it wrong.
No, I'm not at all. I'm actually looking up Pebbles cereal. Yeah, they don't sell them in Canada. Am I wrong?
No,
about
they
that?
don't.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if that's a ban or if it just doesn't happen or
It might not be legally enforced. It just might not happen.
No.
yeah, it could just be that the American corporation responsible for exporting it was like, nah, you know what? We're not selling it there, so fuck it.
Okay.
You know what's really good? Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
I agree.
Oh, yeah.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch is actually pretty good.
Yeah. Now, according to what I've read, certain cereals, cereals need to meet certain nutritional standards to be marketed as cereal in Canada. Apparently, you can sell them in Canada, but they have to be basically classified not as cereal. Apparently, Canada also has different standards for milk, for example.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. So with different nutritional standards, so that's partly why certain things. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, How about one more question before we go, and then I'm gonna very quickly recommend some movies because I want to do that every week, and then we'll go.
A lot of these are like joke questions or dice funk questions. I don't think. Sorry.
No,
like,
it's fine.
also ones there's not much to talk about. Like Michael John Carter asks if any of us played Life is Strange. I don't think any of us have. I own it. I just haven't gotten around to it.
I'm in your boat.
Yeah. We're all waiting. So yeah, not much in the way of Question Town this week.
Okay.
Although, you know what?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Michael John Carter. That was his name, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I will endeavor to play Life is Strange this week, and next week on Word Funk, I'll talk about it.
No, you won't. It's a video game.
Now you have to talk about it on your new Fancy Pants video games show.
Well, then I guess you're going to have to tune in.
Yeah.
But not like this week. Not the first episode, the second episode.
Teaser.
To the laser cast or whatever we're gonna call it. Yeah.
I like your title.
I said press sneak funks. Which
What?
But that's such an inside joke.
it is. It's so inside baseball. That's a
I don't
reference.
get it at all.
It's a reference to an email that circulated internally at Bethesda like 3 years ago. It's it's really fucked up. Anyway,
I don't. All right. Well, it's your show, so you do whatever you want.
I know. But yeah,
I want to very quickly recommend some movies that I watched this past week. None of them are like whoa, obscure or anything. They're all famous movies or recent releases. The 400 Blows. I finally watched it after a very, very, very long time of being on my to-do list. It is a French film by Truffaut, and it is sort of those movies where they kind of have the nostalgia glasses on about what it's like to be a child. This is like the opposite of that, and it was quite good. I also watched Eye in the Sky in the theater. For anyone who doesn't know, it's a new thriller starring Helen Mirren and Aaron Paul and the late Alan Rickman and many, many others about drone warfare, and it is very tense and it is very sad, and I would highly recommend going to see that. I also watched Contempt, which is another French film by Godard, and I always butcher his name, I'm sorry. And it is also great, and it is like a very, 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 very pretty film. It's very like aesthetically pleasing. Just even if you have the subtitles off and you don't speak French, you can literally just watch it, and it is very, very pretty. I also watched The Holy Mountain finally, because that is a new episode of Renegade Cut coming up very, very soon. At the 1 minute mark of watching the movie, normally like whenever I see like something significant happen, or something where like, oh, I should probably look up what that means because that symbol means this, or that number means that, and then I usually end up with like 20 to 30 little notes in my little WordPad file. After like the first minute, like every shot had one of those things. So I was like, nope, fuck it. I'm just gonna watch it and deal with the aftermath later. Because there's a lot of stuff going on in the Holy Mountain, including but not limited to I think a jaguar boob that sprays milk on someone's face. Might be milk, might be something else. I really liked it though. So I would recommend.
It's the one Jodorowsky film, because I have the collection.
Yeah.
That I have not yet ventured to watch.
It's how do I put this? It's very engaging because it's never boring, but that doesn't mean it's an easy watch. And that sounds like a contradiction in terms, but I feel like if you watched it, you might understand what I mean.
I'm down.
Okay.
I've seen The Room.
Okay. Anyway, it's a really good movie, and there's 4 movies I watched in the last week, and that's it. Anything you guys want to say before we go?
The gaming show isn't going to be on Channel Awesome, so if you want to catch that, you'll probably need to subscribe or whatever to either patreon.com/AustinYorsky, or it might be on I think we're going to get Taylor Hoyt to co-host it with us, so it'll be on his YouTube channel, which is The Gaming Shelf, so you can subscribe over there. That's where it should be. That's the plan. So those are the places.
All right. Johnny, anything you want to say before we go?
I got the email the other day.
Is it Oculus time?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
When is Oculus time?
They were telling me that the component shortages were a lot bigger than they thought they were gonna be. I got my order in, my pre-order, within the first 15 minutes of orders going up. And they said, April. You're gonna get it in April, boy, don't worry. We'll let you know, April 12th. Yeah, it's gonna be cool. You broke my heart, Oculus. You broke my heart.
What are they saying now?
May 16th to 26th.
I'm sorry, Johnny. I know.
I don't even feel like a customer anymore.
Oh.
I feel like an ex-boyfriend who still has to pay.
Yeah, the VR rollout has not been ideal.
I, for one, am shocked. All right. Sorry, go ahead.
Makes a man disappointed and bitter.
Yeah, the great thing about you being so bitter and cynical all the time is that you also get to be right most of the time.
I am not bitter and cynical. I find this technology preposterous and inconvenient. And as we mentioned, the future is all about convenience, and I find anything that looks too late 90s tech that we wanted then but are getting now to be a kind of a roll of the dice. But I'll be proved wrong eventually, because someone's going to do it really well and make it affordable, and then it might be adopted, and then I'll eat my words.
Mayonnaise is for friends, kids!